right, hello everybody. Welcome to Sacred Heart Music Center. I'm Mark Nikolowski. I'm on the board here. Hello to our viewers on live stream. Welcome to Duluth, Minnesota. Tonight wanted to just give a few announcements. First of all, if you haven't been here before, Sacred Heart Music Center is a nonprofit volunteer-run organization dedicated to keeping this beautiful 19th century building standing and presenting music of all kinds, and we're going to see some all kinds of music here tonight. I wanted to thank our sponsors. We have Ben Paddle, we have Builders Commonwealth, Ursa Minor Hotels, the North 103.3, the Whole Foods Co-op, and the Duluth Radisson. And this concert is also being brought to you with a grant from the Minnesota State Arts Board through the voters of Minnesota. So thanks to the Minnesota State Arts Board and also the University of Minnesota Duluth helping us sponsor this show too. So let's give a hand to all the sponsors and the volunteers. Yeah. Helping bring this show together, and the show will also be on the Sacred Heart website, or Sacred Heart YouTube channel, so keep your eye open for that. And let's welcome to the stage here the Minnesota Bach Society and Seymour Perspective.
Good evening. My name is Marco. I'm the Associate Artistic Director of the Bach Society of Minnesota. Thank you all so much for being here. Seymour and the Bach Society, we're very happy to be here with you to share Seeds of Culture. It's part of our new Outside the Box series with the Bach Society working with artists outside the European classical tradition to create wonderful new works. Anyways, so this is all new for everyone, including us included, because to mix two very disparate genres of music, Baroque and hip-hop, seems like a real head-scratcher. But one thing that helped us come up with this program is a narrative. Music is really all just storytelling, and we've chosen the theme of a future that's culturally barren.
Yeah, there's a culturally barren wasteland in the future, and we have come to collect seeds of culture from this time and place, and we can't give you any spoilers, but there are people in this room who make a huge difference in the future that we come from. And so we're just here to perform a ceremony to break through time and carry back these seeds of culture.
So to help you out a little bit, we're going to give you the main points of the narrative that we created with the music. If you look at the programs, you'll see that they're organized somewhat in chapters, and so there'll be a Baroque piece, and then they'll be matched with a creation by Seymour. But it does tell a story, and so again, the idea is time traveling from the future to find seeds in the past. And so the text that Seymour had come up with, and then the text of the songs talk to each other. And so Prelude to the Time Traveler's Prayer, for example, and then the response is a French song from the 1600s saying, into the forest I go without fear. You want to add anything else to that?
Yeah, just that, in musical traditions, we are in conversation, but then the choices for the classical pieces that you're going to hear are also in conversation with the poems that I wrote, and then the soundscapes, of course. So there's going to be some sampling, so listen out for things that maybe you heard at an earlier point in the evening and are hearing it in a new way.
So first song, we're about to embark on the journey. First piece, it's the culturally barren wasteland. Second piece is the beginning of the time travel journey. The third piece, third classical piece, Zefiro Torna, has to deal with the wind, the zephyr wind, and so that has to deal with migration. The next piece, Seymour's text talks about, there's a little line about the seed in the rubble, and the corresponding Baroque piece is Now I See You. And then we finish with a piece by Rameau, again with text by Seymour, where the image is we are all together in the forest. So a little something to hang your hat on, seeds of culture, talk to the seed, we end up with the forest. So we'll play the program straight through. We'll take a little break at the end of the program, 5-minute break for us to take a sip of water. And then we invite you to stay after the performance and we can have a discussion from the stage and you. And you can ask us anything about the program. Well, without any further ado, thank you, welcome. Keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times and enjoy the journey.
And make noise for yourselves right now. Go ahead and give it up. Come on, make some noise for yourselves. Supporting art, independent art, supporting culture, supporting conversation, supporting integration, cross-pollination. A couple more words for you here.
So it was a really interesting musical collaboration coming to the stage. So it was a really interesting musical collaboration coming to the stage. So it was a really interesting musical collaboration coming to the stage. So it was a really interesting musical collaboration coming to the
Seeds of Culture, Marco Real Darbel, Marco Real Darbel, hip hop and spoken word artist, Seymour Perspective, Seymour Perspective, Baroque and hip hop and conversation and cross pollination.
We have poetry, we have dance music. We have poetry, we have dance music. We can feel each other's. We have poetry, we have dance music.
It comes down to that humanness, and it comes down to storytelling.
We can feel each other's beat. We can feel each other. We can feel each other's beats.
Work and exchange.
Picking up those vibes. Let me just put them together. Let me just put them together.
Find the truth above us all. There's some grit and digging in the dirt.
Let me just put them together.
Find the truth above us all. There's some grit and digging in the dirt to find each other. And if you're open to it, you can find a way. Truth above us all. Find the truth above us all. There's some grit and digging in the dirt. There's some grit and digging in the dirt to find each other, to find each other, to find each other. And if you're open, you can find a way.
What are we doing here? I know many of you must have questions. Sometimes,
our only chance to repair the present is in the past.
I know many of you must have questions. We're gonna play a piece. It's the
Time continuum.
It's the
reality.
It's the
Universe.
I know many of you must have questions. What are we doing here?
Temporal event sequence resulting.
What are we doing here?
Creating this new temporal event sequence resulting in this alternate reality.
What are we doing here?
Creating this new universe. Creating this new reality. Creating this new time continuum.
What are we doing here?
Temporal event sequence resulting in this alternate reality.
Sometimes, when we lose our way, we must return to the basics.
Footsteps echo off the cracked, dusty ceiling like rock bubbles stirred on an empty seabed. Cumbersome life suits wheeze into the old church of the old ways like a forgotten song. Alien carcasses litter the stage with splashes of indecipherable violence. A boombox covered in nightsoot, a violin encased in webs no spider would recognize. A cordless microphone lies on a standless snare drum, like a severed hand lost in a battle fought in the imagination of this place. This is where we encant the time traveler's prayer, where we implore permission to part the veil, heavy and certain as day curtains.
Sometimes, when we lose our way, we must return to the basics.
East, bow.
East.
North. West. East, bow.
North.
West. South.
South.
East.
East.
West. North.
Bow.
South.
East. West. Bow. North. South. Life. Bow. Earthly furnace, celestial firmament. If you permit it, the quest will be permanent. Little sun daughters sway hips to split dark. Dendritic phantoms push back against stark juxtapositions of intentions set in. A ring of hope sealed by hearts unrelenting. Mothers and fathers and mothers of fathers and mothers and fathers help. Heart through hand, spirit through sound. Rumblings of beat shake dirt off the ground. Convergence of pressurized wind. Great dance of air in our breath when we sing. Threads through space make a tapestry, covering one window where we have to be. Everywhere through one window. Lock, latch, hidden key, offer self in search. Worthiest cause, draw substance from absence. Reach in the void and retrieve deepest passions. Emptiest spaces and pages of history. Too clean to depict all these ages of misery. Nothing that white can stay that white for that long. Can't learn most from what's taught but what's not. What's refused to address all the loopholes and plots. Afraid, they are afraid of the absence and passions they've made. They are afraid of the absence and passions they've made. We call to you, negative space. Call on your lifeblood, wisdom and grace. Call on the mystery. Call on what's known. Call on the righteous that have walked this globe. We call on pens dipped in blood, written in flesh over bones in the mud. History's burned in our souls that won't rest. Rising up now to put time to the test. So it's still a hip hop show, so you should like make some noise. We're not all about the politeness, you know what I mean? Respect, but not, but not polite, Thank you. It's difficult to explain. I mean, it's difficult to understand. I mean that it's difficult to comprehend, like if wrestling with a concept was physical. And it wasn't limbs grappling, but space with time. And you were just there, along for the ride, but being there takes every effort of every moment you've ever tried at anything. It's like witnessing the divine consider itself. Like hundreds of holy songs sprouting soft as fresh green buds from every atom within. This is time travel. It's like a sea of cosmic dust, quickly moving, absolutely still, somehow slow. It's like the moment is a child growing as they jump into ocean waves that froth frozen like an open maw. The adult lands mid-sand trudge in the depths on impact, no sound. Jellyfish school our peripheral perception, and we slipstream superhighway to the rattling seashell chorus of wind wave and whale song and whale song. Schools of star flutter and roll away on ripples of thunder, muttering something about how something comes up around the bend. We're doing the best we can, but the connection fizzles in. We're doing the best we can, but the connect. Wake up. Ride's over. We're here. A seed sheltered by rubble and cashmeresh. Another hidden in the waxy linen of a beekeeper's closet. The poems of an artist warrior king in dirt and agave in a Mexican jungle. In gold arabun, waiting. A sound, an echo, a shuffling of foot and whisper and ambling through mazes to answer a knock at the door of existence. Breath baits destiny, long past, hold back from yesterday's pages not yet written. Waiting, inspecting the creases in each other's hands, pointing to the sky about love. Back tickles like waves and chests like oceans that rise and fall. A spring breeze and the song of wings on the wind. The world softly rocking like a boat on a calm day in the sun. These seeds are waiting and they need your protection. We're in the shade sharing stories about stars and heritage. When a door opens, woman like tree says, wait. Close your eyes, open your hands. So we wait. Lids like shutters, till the seeds drop in our empty silos and echo like so much laughter.
all so much. Let's just let us put our stuff out, and then we'll come right back out, and then we can chat. We'll sit here, you can sit there. And then any questions you have, unless.
No, let's build. It's great. Yeah, we'll be back in a sec. Thanks.
Thank you. So my name is Marco. Again, thank you all so much for coming. And this is the Bach Society, and that's Seymour Perspective. So here we are. We have combined Baroque, European Baroque with hip hop. So if anyone has any questions about what they've just experienced, any behind the scenes info you might want to have or want to know, yeah, we're here. It's an open discussion, so any questions? Thoughts? Concerns? Super cool. Take that, thank you.
Is anybody...
Sorry? Good question. So I'm on the classical side, right? So I'm a conductor. I study theory, and it's chords and relationships of notes. I mean, 7 years of university conservatory training kind of has to go out the window. One part of the process for me is, again, since I mentioned I'm conservatory trained, it's all this tradition and academics and, this is how you do it. And then I kind of had to get rid of that. I had to get to that moment where, let's say, Bach and Vivaldi were making it up right then and there, right? It's the idea that all music was once new. Mm-hmm. And so I had to kind of take off the cobwebs, get away from the academic, intellectual aspect of what classical music is, and kind of transport myself, time travel in a way, to the time and place where people were listening to that music. And they didn't think 1, 2, 3, or whatever the beat may be, they just kind of felt it. And so all that to say is, well, then I got to the feeling of the music, and music that's quite easy to feel is dance music. And that's the thing, we played with the beat. Once we figured out, okay, there's a beat that we can play with.
Yeah, it was so funny because you think, oh, this was dance music, this was party music, and you're like, oh my God, yeah, right. Boom, ba-dum, ba-dum. But then you put that beat to it, and I'm like, oh, I see it now. Boom, boom, ksh, right? It's really cool because it really is like a slapper, But we wouldn't think of it that way. But then it is in there. It's in the music.
Yeah,
it's alive.
And then I'm from Latin America, from South America. And in my family, we always grew up with this idea that, not just my family, but, it comes from Europe, it must be fancy. Like Americans do this with British accents. It might be the most backwater county in England, but, it's British, and so it sounds, no, right? This whole spectrum of society going on in Europe. And yeah, just to kind of connect to that bodily feeling, like getting 300-year-old music and the feeling in the hips. So that was the first step. The second step was, because the part of hip hop and what Seymour does is the spoken word poetry. And then just kind of thinking about rhythm of words, and that's, in my mind, I guess what I had to do is kind of realize it's a bit like fashion, like people have been wearing pants for centuries, but the fashion might change. Same thing with the poetry.
Yeah.
So we're all doing
different
the same
style
thing,
of pant.
but it's just a different time, different place, and that's all it is, right? So once we got those things kind of worked out, Seymour had the story, and then it was just very easy to pick out texts that kind of, respond. So it's basically making a playlist.
I think eventually, like this thing blows up and we make it real big or whatever, and what the line will be they met and knew exactly what to do, but it took a long time to just figure out, because we connected right away, and we both had such a thirst for music, art, culture, understanding, communication, and expression through music and art. And so that was really cool to see that and kind of understand each other, you know, from across the room culturally, you know what I mean? And for hip hop, it's actually not even that strange of a thing. You know what I mean? Like hip hop is one of these things that absorbs, it's like jazz. It absorbs everything around the world and is still jazz. So this is still hip hop. You can sample anything and put it to a hip hop beat. You can take hip hop aesthetics and apply them to different time signatures. Hip hop producers are doing that all the time. And so we didn't see it super clearly at first, but we knew there was something there. We knew it was something really cool. So we kind of had a back and forth, like, kind of like a skill share, knowledge share, you know what I mean? And we would get into the philosophy of it and be like, oh, in hip hop we do this, and oh yeah, because then that's kind of like this bass line. And I'm like, yes, that makes sense to me because I work in tracks as an engineer and a producer, right? And thinking about how, okay, we can play with the arrangement of those tracks. So what if you kind of DJ, you know, my big thing was like, I want Marco to be the DJ, to choose these pieces. So he chose the classical pieces in response to some poems. I had written a handful of poems. I had this idea for the story of the Time Traveler's Prayer. So I had a couple of those little pieces, and I was doing some more writing, but I was also imagining what the whole story might look like. So I set that up. There was like, you know, butterflies and whales, about, you know, migration and these different things. And Marco just was like, in true DJ form, like pulled out just the thing, you know, just the song to match that, to go, you know, song for song or whatever. And then putting it together and having it come to life has been really cool for me anyway.
Yeah. So
that's a long, drawn-out answer. I'm so sorry.
But it's, yeah, we like to say, we all like to say that music is a universal language. I take a little different perspective. It's, you know, hip hop is a language. It's a musical language. Jazz is a language. Rock is a language.
And all of those are in the same long tradition of music.
Yeah. I mean, and so then when you look at the music of Bach, you know, that's German music and that's a language. French music has its own language. And so then you kind of think about, so like we had to like understand that language. And then it kind of gets to the point where, well, you know, all music is telling something of the human experience. So much like language, so I speak a couple of languages, right? So like the word water, the sound water, and then Spanish, agua, right? There's no cosmic reason why the sound water is better than the sound agua, right? But they talk about the same thing. They're talking about the same. So it's like that kind of process in linguistics that we approach with music. And so, yeah, the story was there. How do we tell it? And then that was the figuring out.
It was a sort of relay, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because it was like, here's the set of ideas, here's a couple of the pieces, I'm writing some more, and then you're like, cool, here are these pieces that I think fit really well thematically. And then I was like, cool, come over with your violin, I'll put a beat to it, you know?
Yeah, and so conceptually, he mentioned butterflies and whales, and so that's the idea of migration. And then I paired that with Zefiro Torna, which is about the zephyr, wind, and wind migration. I mean, so it just kind of responds like that, so. And then the other fun fact, nerdy, like deep inside detail is, well, hip hop, and there are a couple of students I recognize from our talk in the afternoon, but hip hop has loops, right? This technique of loops, you get a repeat, you get a pattern, you repeat it over again.
Could I just maybe, I don't know, shed some light on that?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Some of you are probably familiar with it, even if not, like you've heard it a million times. The birth of hip hop, kind of specifically, like as it's being born in 1973 in the Bronx, in New York City, DJ Kool Herc has these parties that he puts on, birthday parties or dance parties, right? He's DJing. And what he notices is that the livest part of the party, everybody like loses their shit and like bum rushes the dance floor and just like it gets really passionate and excited. It's always at the break, right? So you have all the instruments playing, you have the song playing on the record, but then everything drops off. right? And everybody loses it because breaks are so good. It's something about like the tension and the release and all this stuff. And you know, human tradition with drums is universal, right? So we all feel that. And he was like, I wish that could last forever. He's like, what are the like, aren't there songs that are just that? And he goes, I'll buy 2 of the same record. And then that break I'm playing here, I'm queuing it up on the other turntable. So when this gets through its cycle, I'm pressing play on this one, and this one's ready to go. And you go back and forth. That's the crossfader. Back and forth. This one's playing. Crossfade to the right. This one starts where this one ended. And so that's the loop. The original loop was just turntables, and people still do that, and that's become its own art form. There's beat juggling and all kinds of turntablism, really cool stuff that is all based on this concept. So I thought I'd give a shout out.
And so one of the interesting things is a lot of the pieces that we have done in this program are either chaconnes, mostly chaconnes, right? And chaconnes, fancy word for a dance from 1500s, 1600s, 1700s. What makes this particular dance groovy is that it has a swing on 2. So it's a dance in 3 for me, be really nerdy. We all know waltzes. Da, 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 dee, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Those are waltzes, right? Chaconnes are also in 3, but the emphasis is on 2. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that becomes its own little loop from 300 years ago. The little technique that overlaps there. But the more interesting story is that bass line, and we know jazz has bass lines, right? The walking bass and all that. But the bass line, a lot of the bass lines that we played here with the Baroque pieces actually come from Latin America. You know, they came from Latin America. They were seen in Europe as this inappropriate dance. Sinner's dance is going to make you sin. It's going to give you impure thoughts. No,
that sounds familiar as a hip hop artist.
Yeah, and so, but then it crosses the ocean, and it ends up in Versailles, and it ends up being, again, this very fancy European thing, but is it actually European? So it's like one of those things where surprising influences, like all the time, you know?
Everything is influenced by everything else. Everything that is done, said, created, done, whatever, it is in the context of everything else that is happening now and that has come before. It's just the extent of our understanding and consciousness and awareness of that context, which makes our conversations more and more interesting with those things.
I think you could also sum it up by saying, like, most music was once new, but all music was once new. Most music was also once fun.
Word.
Like, most music, somebody made it because they felt joy inside, or they felt, you know, pain, and they wanted to share with friends and feel comforted, you know?
Oh my God, sharing with friends. So that was a big part of our creative process too. Was like, okay, check out this mixtape, check out this artist, check out this jam that they did with these dancers, where they make it into a dance party with break dancers, and were they rocking a chaconne, or what was that?
Yeah,
right? It was like a whole thing. And so that was beautiful, and that recontextualized even what people thought of it, like you said, right? Early on. But then one of the things that stuck out to me is Marco, you know, we would send each other these little notes. Oh, hey, check this out. Hey, check out this playlist, you know, check out da-da-da. You know, notice this, right? And one thing that he kind of shot over at me, was this picture of these, and it was like, you know, it was an ink drawing from, you know, the 1500s. And it's just like dudes drinking, playing violin in the street. And he's like, this was a thing that artists did. And it wasn't even as strict or as dry as we make it out to be.
Not all the white powdery wig, you know, that we get, yeah. So.
But anyway, let's hear more from you, yeah.
Any other questions?
Anything? What? What kind of music? Just noodle? That's so a big part of the creative process for this as well was like Marco and Seymour built like the stage, the set pieces, they invited us to perform as instrumentalists and vocalists certain pieces of sheet music that were written down from long ago, but then also invited us to just play in a bunch of sort of designated play areas of the piece. So we didn't know what was going to happen each night, but we did know, like, okay, this section, there's going to be poetry, and we're going to try to go for this type of mood, or, yeah.
Do you have a little something that you want to just try, and I'll just follow you?
Sure, yeah. So we would do like this.
Plucked from the sky, just for you.
It's worth noting that, at least from the kind of classical trained side of the room, as Marco alluded to, the very like academic, this is the right way to do the thing. If you're trained in that mode, improvisation is scary. And so for myself, I admit that it took a really long time coming out of, my undergraduate university training to be comfortable to do something like that, to just like trust that I'm with the people who are making the music, they're listening to me, I'm listening to them, and there's nothing that's coming out of my mouth that's wrong. Because there's no right or wrong, there's just call and response. And so the biggest, most important thing when you're in those sort of situations like just now, or when we're kind of just riffing on things as, Seymour's making his beat and everyone's sort of plucking away at their instruments, is just listen and take in what's happening around you and then respond. So.
Fun fact, some of these pieces are just like a page long, but we make it last.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get your money's worth.
I had to get comfortable asking them to do things that were really weird. You know what I mean? Because I'm hip hop, I'm freestyle. I would do shows with a DJ that I know, even DJs that I don't know. If I think they're dope, I'm like, let's do a set. And we could just do a set. They'll just show up and play beats, and I'll perform songs. You know what I mean? If there's a drummer in the house, dude, you wanna just play drums while I rap? That kind of thing. And so that's the culture that I come from, and it's very it's very open in terms of input and whatever. It's just bring your best self. What we say in the cipher, bring your best self to the cipher. Bring your skills, develop your skills, bring them to the cipher. The cipher can be a circle of people, rapping or beatboxing or whatever. It can also just be, to me, this is a cipher as well. You know what I mean? And so the cipher is sacred. The circle is sacred. And that's another one of these universal things. And so when we collect ourselves in circles to perform music, to share our skills and our thoughts, for me, the only thing is what are you bringing to it? Hip hop is what are you bringing to it? And what's different? And it's only a mistake if you let it bother you. Something like that, you know what I mean? There's no mistakes. I loved what you were saying. It reminded me of the idea that it's there's no wrong way to love. And so if we're here loving and we're listening to each other and we're present, then that's the experience that we're sharing.
Any other questions? Comments? Suggestions?
Did anyone get lost in the past or future and is just returning now to your body? on this plane.
That does happen. So just check in with the people around you, help each other out, help each other navigate kind of where and when you are.
Well, if no other questions, well, thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you.
It's our first Outside the Box show in Duluth, and we hope to, the Bach Society will be back in Duluth with, more traditional stuff too. Sorry.
And I See More Perspective will definitely be back with much weirder things.
I just wanted to plug in a little bit about the Bach Society. My name is Yunyue Liu. I am the executive director. So I'm the computer worker, sending email, corresponding with all the concert stuff for the Bach Society. And thank you.
Makes the magic happen.
Thank you. And the Bach Society of Minnesota, if you don't know, we are the oldest Bach Society on this continent. We were established in 1932, a bunch of students at the UMN, Minnesota Twin City. They just wanted to sing Bach, so they went to the dean back in the day, asking if we can sing something together. And Dean Ferguson, which our music building now is named after him, Ferguson Hall. Dean Ferguson organized the students, rehearsed, and eventually our first concert was put on in 1933. It was a B minor mass. Thank you. And our traditional concert is performed on historical informed instrument. We have a T-shirt that has hip in the front, so it's actually historical informed performance. Yeah, sorry, I was missing the words. And I would not be playing with our group because I'm a pianist, classical trained. I did my degree in collaborative piano, so I don't really know much about hip hop before this whole project. And I also actually didn't, every musician knows Bach, but I wasn't an early person either. So I don't actually play with our group because I'm a pianist. We play on harpsichord, portative organ, and the instrument that Phil was using, that would be considered as a early instrument. And Marco today didn't bring his own, the other violin. That would also be a Baroque violin. So anyway, my point is we are performing the whole concert on different sets. You could listen to, for example, the Bach's Christmas Oratorio, which is our annual concert. You could go to Minnesota Orchestra to listen to this whole concert. They will be playing on the instrument that you all know in any orchestra, but ours would be different for horn, trumpet, everything is different. I am not suggesting that you driving up and down 2 hours to go to our concert. However, you should, you could. Yes. But you can always check out our website or our YouTube channel, BachSocietyMN.org, or go on YouTube, search Bach Society of Minnesota, and you will see our concerts. Since COVID, all our concerts are recorded, sometimes live streamed, and the video is always online. So check us out. Thank you.
Yay! Oh, yes. And that reminds me too, so I'm See More Perspective, and I do all the admin for See More Perspective, and I'm the oldest, thank you for reminding me, I'm the oldest See More Perspective in the world. And so you can check out, I'm a cultural institution, you can check me out at seemoreperspective.com. It's see with your eyes, more as in outside of yourself, perspective as in different ways to see things. There's no PHs or triple X's or anything. Nothing's wrong with that. It's just not in my name.